Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mahkaveli. We still have a few more weeks before the first Paramount UFC card actually starts, so I thought now would be a perfect time to go over a quick recap of the 2025 overall MMA schedule and give out some awards, so to speak, based on performance. I'm sure you've seen shows like this before, other channels do all this, so I'm not going to waste too much time in the intro and yap. Here will be the awards I will give out. I only have 11 for now. Normally I would try and aim for 10 or less, but given how this is the debut show and that this is the final year for the ESPN deal, I thought I would throw in a special ESPN memorable moment award, but I'll describe these all once we get there. To kick it off with Fighter of the Year, here are my nominations. I had Waldo Cortez Acosta, Merab Dvalishvili, Anthony Hernandez, Ilia Topuria, and Joshua Van. Now first, let me just quickly explain why Anthony Hernandez and Ilia Topuria are not my Fighter of the Year, and that's quite simply because of activity. Ilia, he's my GOAT. I'm always going to glaze him and find a way to get him on top, so to speak. I've been an early supporter of this guy, but the truth is that he's fought once this entire year, so I can't really put him as my Fighter of the Year, no matter how great of an accomplishment he made with his prior resume. Anthony Hernandez, on the other hand, I so would have put him as my Fighter of the Year, but the one thing that held him back, of course, is that he had a injury against Reinier de Ridder, had to pull out, and then the guy that he beat back in February, Brendan Allen, steps in and mogs Reinier de Ridder, something that Hernandez would have done to both of them. So that's a shame. Hernandez would have been my Fighter of the Year, but he still gets a nominee. I have Merab on this list because honestly, he is very close to being Fighter of the Year. He's on a lot of other people's list for Fighter of the Year, and he is actually nominated for a few more rewards on this show, so that is something to note, but he is not winning either, which leaves us with Joshua Van. Now, I know he definitely won the Fighter of the Year pick for the ESPN choices, and I definitely wanted to avoid that. I believe he went 4-0 this year and won the belt in a fluke injury versus Pantoja. But, you know, good for him. He's super young. I bet he's going to go on a crazy run after this, despite the win. So, with all that said, my 2025 Fighter of the Year is Waldo Cortez Acosta. The reason being, this guy has shown that he can improve within the year. I mean, do I have to explain? We saw what happened. He fought Ante Delia, Tom Aspinall's teammate. He got the eye poke, came back to knock him out. 3 weeks later, he comes in on a 48-hour notice fight against Shamil Gaziev, only to KO him. Yes, Waldo stubbed his toe against Pavlovich. I picked Waldo against Sergey Pavlovich. Definitely not a good look for us, but we know the truth is that Waldo wasn't healthy coming into that fight. Waldo would win the rematch, and that's on everything. So let us go to the next award. Isaac. You are a fucking idiot. Isaac Dolgarian was going to be my prospect of the year. I was going to sit here and glaze this guy. He's 2-2 in the UFC, but if you really knew what's up and you knew this guy's skills coming into the organization, you knew that he had championship level skills. And that fight with C-Rod, the weight bully, definite robbery. I would have put that on this list. But I don't know if I have to really explain it all. But we know that Dulgarian has found himself in some controversy lately. But I'm going to keep away from that, because all I have to say is this: what happened to the burden of proof, right? This man is innocent. I have seen no wrongdoing. I think he is innocent. Free my boy Isaac. He has done nothing wrong. He is innocent till proven guilty. You won't change my mind on that. Yeah, it's a little bit salty. This guy had a terrible loss. I believe he came in injured. He wasn't himself. I think he had a staph infection. He lost to some no-name bum first round rear naked choke, and then he got instantly cut. It's a wild situation, man. It's honestly not going to go anywhere because they're all in on it, but let's just move on. This was going to be my prospect of the year. Now, for knockout of the year, here are my nominees. We have Cesar Almeida versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Ricky Simone versus Javid Basharat, Gregory Rodriguez versus Jack Hermanson, Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico, and Quillin Salkild versus Nasrat Hakparast. These are all pretty good knockouts, and I had a very tough time trying to narrow down what I would nominate officially. There were so many good KOs in this year alone, and there were just too many to choose. I definitely swapped my pick back and forth. Seeing some of these live, I thought to myself, oh, this has to be knockout of the year, and then something crazier happened. So these are the 5 that I had to nominate, that when seeing it live, I just screamed out loud. It was super crazy. And pretty much the winner, I'm going to keep this simple. You have to rewatch these all yourself to really get the vibe of it. But the knockout of the year award goes to Quillin Salkild. I mean, when I saw this, I knew I had to give it to this guy, and it was going to be very, very tough for him to be dethroned on this KO. Okay, it wasn't really any high stakes to this, just a random 3-fight match on the Abu Dhabi card, I believe. But Nasrat Hakparast, he was coming off a pretty good win streak coming to that point. He's a tough opponent himself, and for Quillin to absolutely starch and put Hakparast out cold, his legs were twitching, everyone had their hands on their head. It was a weird sight for a moment. I honestly thought Nasrat would need like serious medical care, but thankfully he's okay, and we just got this viral knockout. This is my KO of the year. For submission of the year, my nominees are Gabriel Bonfim versus Chaos the Oxfighter Williams, John Silva versus Bryce Mitchell, Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley, Walter Walker versus Kennedy Nzechukwu, and Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze. Once again, I'm trying not to yap too much about this. I honestly would have given this pick to John Silva, but the fact is everyone else gave it to him. We all knew the narratives going around that fight, and it would just be too much of a gimme to pick that fight, you know? The Bonfim versus Williams was pretty cold just to see that reaction alone from Williams, a dude who has never been finished to that point. The Walter Walker one I really wanted to pick just because of the meme aspect, the reaction Kennedy has there, the fact that Walter's doing that to all these guys over and over again. But I think he's gonna get caught one day, someone's gonna figure it out. But whatever. Sean O'Malley, he just proved it. This win kinda didn't age well, let's just put it that way. So the only, out of this list, the only real clear winner is Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze. I mean, You would have to rewatch that fight, but it's pretty clear that up until he got the submission, he was beating and battering Roman for 4 rounds. I mean, Roman didn't belong in there. We knew Roman wasn't ever like a top guy, but he has competitive fights. You know, he's like he's a gatekeeper, so to speak, and for Anthony to kind of starch him the way he did was pretty impressive. So that would be my submission of the year. He's not my fighter of the year, but Anthony Hernandez gets my submission of the year. Now, on to fight of the year. My nominees are Dvalishvili versus Nurmagomedov, Volkanovski versus Lopez, Muhammad versus Della Maddalena, Van versus Royval, and Talbot versus Cejudo. This category was definitely a little bit tough to navigate through. Also, I am one of those people who likes to go for decisions when going through this category, and sitting through a lot of these fights, sometimes they're memorable, sometimes they're not, but these are the ones that I thought throughout the year were very fun for different reasons. And without wasting too much time on this one, my winner for this pick, it might age poorly, but the reason why I'm giving it to you while we can, Volkanovski versus Lopez. So the fight that they had in April, it was definitely an event in of itself. Seeing Volk get the belt back after it got KO'd brutally against a tough guy in Lopez, you know, just the fight itself was very fun and competitive. Just everything all at once. Lopez landed his own shots, but Volk still showed that he was superior, that he still got it right. That was all a very fun fight, and I'm definitely worthy of a Fight of the Year award. That said, we all know that these two are about to rematch soon, and there are some choice words for both of them. We know that it could go a different way this time, and I'm a little bit worried for Volk in that sense. But with that said, I'm giving these two my Fight of the Year for 2025. Good job. Okay, here we are, the best event of the year. I only had 4 nominees for this category, as you could see, 317, 319, this was Fight Night in China, I believe, and this was Fight Night in Qatar. So these events, they had mixed results in terms of the bout order, and there were certainly people who had choice words for some of the events here, but all in all, as a broad stroke, I thought these 4 cards really stood out to me as being fairly quality in hindsight. But with that said, going back to my earlier point, I have to give my GOAT the winner of this card. The best event has to go to 317. Even without Ilia Topuria, this card was actually pretty stacked top to bottom. The finishes were crazy, the fights were very entertaining, and of course, Ilia topping it off, winning by knocking out Oliveira. Come on, can't get better than that. But with that said, I'm afraid we're gonna have to go to the worst event of the year. Now, there were definitely a lot to choose from this past 2025. There is a slippery slope going down with the UFC matchmaking. Maybe this could be a different talking point video, but we have been getting undeserved title shots, poor matchmaking, #1 contenders sitting out, and people falling out, just all sorts of stuff that shows that the UFC overall is sort of going downhill, even with this $7 billion deal coming up. So all that yap, there's only one event that stood out to me as being the worst. When this happened to me live, I knew this was going to take the award. We knew coming into this fight night that it was going to be the worst. Coming out of this fight night, we all knew that it was the worst event. So, without any more teasing, my worst event for 2025 the award goes to Vegas 107, Gamrot versus Klein. And no, you're not mistaken. This is in fact the correct poster you're seeing. Why is Blanchfield and Barber on the poster and not Gamrot and Klein? For those of you who don't know, what you see on the poster was scheduled to be the original main event. We had got the co-main event, which was Gamrot versus Klein. It was a decent-ish fight in hindsight, but mere minutes before Barber, the fat cow, was meant to walk out with her ass implants, she had I don't even know, a panic attack? PTSD? Who knows what happened to Barber here? I don't even think it's still been diagnosed after all this time, but if you were there, you were there. Barber just flaked on the event. If you weren't there, yeah, you didn't miss much. This was the worst card. All of the fights were terrible. Even though Gamrot and Klein kind of stepped up to be kind of a okay-ish fight, it wasn't until after the fact that we found out that Barber was pulling out. You know what I mean? So just overall, this was very underwhelming. Wasn't fun. I want my money back. It was terrible. Let's move on. All right, now here are my most undeserved title shot nominees. The colored names are the recipients of this award. We have Duplessis versus Strickland, Pantoja versus Cara France, Holloway versus Poirier, Dvalishvili versus Sandhagen, and Dern versus Jandiroba. Okay, what's there to say about all these fights? I mean, we know the bottom line is that the UFC wants to sell a championship fight. They have to have a belt on the line, yada yada. That's the real reason why Hamzat was iced until later in the year, which is why Strickland got that shot. Cara France, he's an entitled whatever, just a little pipsqueak who's, let me fight once a year. Poirier, same thing, I guess. Like, yeah, you have to give him the BMF shot. Like, it's all just for nothing. Oh yeah, same with Sandhagen too. Like, yeah, let me get a 1-fight win streak. I can surely beat Merab, right? All these fights were a joke, man. Honestly, I was such a hater for... No, I didn't hate Holloway versus Poirier. I'll be honest, it was low-key entertaining. But I'm yapping too much. The winner of the Undeserved Title Shot Award, or should I say loser, is Corey Sandhagen. Don't know what else there needs to be said. He tried his best, but failed. Corey proved yet again that he is just number 3 or number 4. Let's move on. Okay, so now we are at the most egregious scorecards award. And funny enough, I would have given some proper nominations and discussed briefly about some of these picks, but for the winner I have in mind, I think it would be ironic enough to sort of cheat him out of this award yet again. And I mean that in the best way possible. The winner of this award goes to Jan Blachowicz. And I couldn't necessarily decide on a fight of his, whether it's the Olberg fight, which a lot of people think he won, I thought he won, or the fight with Guskov, which was very fun, but they just scored a draw anyway. The point I'm trying to make is that this guy, he's in his 40s. His best days are behind him, even though he's still very skilled and clinging on to what he had. But the thing is, this guy's fight style doesn't do him favors. He sits back too much and lets these decisions go by him and let them be very close. So you can argue that his fight with Ankalaev, Olberg, and Guskov, you can argue all three of those. And that in of itself, the fact that this guy has very close fights constantly, that's why I'm going to put him on this award. Congratulations, Jan. Okay, now we are at my best moment that is outside the UFC. Again, I could have gone in depth and researched. I could have put a few nominees out here of a few worthy moments that have happened throughout the year. But honestly, it's one of those, oh, look at me, I'm a hardcore man. I watch things outside the UFC and I'll bring it here. It's like, yeah, we could play that game. But there was only one specific moment that sort of stood out to me throughout all this, and I just had to throw it on here. That would be Tony Ferguson getting his win streak back. Right now, this second, Tony Ferguson is the Misfits boxing champion. He is an undefeated boxer, and we are back. That's just all that needs to be said. It's very happy to see El Cucuy get his win back. It's a feel-good story for the ages, man. Don't know what to say. Habib ducked this guy, right? Now, finally, last but not least, this special once-in-a-lifetime award for the most memorable ESPN moment. The thing we have to keep in mind is that the ESPN UFC deal officially went live in January 2019, and it is stopped in January 2026. There is definitely a lot to go through over the years. There were way too many moments to honestly count and really like, oh, this could be a perfect nominee. Except for one. One moment kept popping in my head over and over again as I was going back through the catalog. And I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, this is definitely a front runner. But let me just, give benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's something else, but no. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the most memorable ESPN moment award. Goes to Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie. The time when Kevin Lee absolutely flushed and more or less retired Gregor Gillespie. This fight, it was definitely memorable. I was here and I saw it. The entire arena just erupted. Definitely the best fight of the night. It was the first BMF card, but this was definitely the show stealer. This right here was fight of the night, KO of the night, all that. And this will be my most memorable ESPN moment. It was either this or the Masvidal knee. This one won just by inches. So congratulations to Kevin Lee, the GOAT. With all that being said, I want to thank you all for watching. There were some pretty quick awards I wanted to give out, some recognition throughout the 2025 year. I know I didn't really cover much of the fight nights live, so my picks didn't necessarily count. And my pay-per-view videos were more or less kind of inconsistent, but that's something I really want to work on. This project here was fun to work on also. Anyone who has watched up to this point, thank you. Let me know what you think about my picks. Tell me if you agree, disagree, what you would put instead, what I should do to change for next year's. But with all that said, once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing and following. I'll see you next time. Bye.